Alright guys, I wanted to do this video today. Uh, I am disgusted by this person that is always going to be an icon, or truly is an icon in Boston sports, and that is Don Cherry. I understand we've never met, but when you look at Boston Bruins hockey history, he was the head coach of a Boston Bruins team that was so badass in the 70s. You look at the Boston Bruins in the 70s, the big bad Bruins. The Bruins that were rough shots. They were the outlaws of hockey. This team was tough. They were talented. And they were tortured by that team on the island alongside the St. Lawrence River as they lost to the Montreal Canadiens. And why me, being a diehard Boston Bruins fan, hates the Montreal Canadiens with despise. The Montreal Canadiens beat us in the 1977 Stanley Cup Final, not to mention 1978, and most torturously, the semifinals in 1979. And the 1979 semifinals, that was viewed as the de facto cup final and would forever say the words, too many men on ice. A game where the Boston Bruins could have beaten the Montreal Canadiens. And you know what happened on that too many men of ice game? That sealed Don Cherry's fate. But before that ended, Boston and New England fell in love with the fiery and charismatic bench boss who led the Bruins for 5 seasons and assured us that everything would be okay after the era of Bobby Orr and Esposito. He may have came up short on the ice, but he won this town over. And Don Cherry is still beloved here. He is. Because of the fact that he made an appearance at Rick Middleton's number retirement. After his coaching career, he was hired as a color commentator for the CBC, but had trouble hiding his team biases. So he didn't last in that role. But because of his personality, his outspokenness, his unreal eye for the game of hockey, and tendency to call as he sees it, the Coach's Corner was created in 1982 to better suit his skill set. Ron MacLean replaced original co-host Dave Hodge in 1986, and the two had an easy, undeniable chemistry that Canadians loved. And as a result, the segment became so popular that virtually the entire part of Canada would wait with anticipation for the first period of the Hockey Night in Canada game to end so they could hear Don Cherry's latest hot take. In just a few years, Don Cherry became a Canadian icon. He also supported many worthy causes and drew attention to people and stories that Canadians would otherwise not know about. Make no mistake, Don Cherry did a lot of good for a lot of people. Gradually, and as he got older, Don Cherry became really this proverbial uncle at Thanksgiving that would cause occasional cringes. Be it about headshots or a European style of play or saying that Americans were ruining the NHL. They were, as always, shrugged off as the harmless rantings of an old guy, which for the most part they were, unless you were on the receiving end. And then I find out today about his comments that he made Saturday night, in which he shamed immigrants and called it Cherry's own personal protocol, Poppy protocol. His bosses decided that he crossed that line and that they could no longer air at what he had to say. So this is the statement that Sportsnet came out with today. Sports brings people together. It unites us, not divide us. Following further discussion with Don Cherry after Saturday night's broadcast, it has been decided it is the right time for him to immediately step down. During the broadcast, he made decisive remarks that do not represent our values or what we stand for. Don is in there with hockey and has played this role in growing the game over the past 40 years. We would like to thank Don for his contributions to hockey and sports broadcasting in Canada. Let me just say it like this, and I always have to say, let me just say it like this. On a personal standpoint, people that know me, friends of mine, outside of the YouTube community, they know that I have family that live in Canada. I have cousins that live there. I haven't seen my cousins in quite a while. Last time I saw my cousins was in 2010. I haven't seen my other cousin since 2008. And I hadn't seen another cousin of mine since 2005. I also have an aunt that lives in Mississauga, Canada, that I talk to every couple of weeks about sports, because she is a sports fan. What Don Cherry said on Saturday night, and you can see the disgust in my face. I saw the video after this whole news broke that he got fired. Was just disgusting. This isn't cancel culture. This is an 85-year-old guy who has been making these anti-immigrant comments or these phobic comments for decades. And yet he manages to keep his job when many others would have been fired for statements like that. Mind you, if there was a person on YouTube that said those kind of things, that person should be kicked off of YouTube. But you know why it was later to fire Don Cherry? Because Don Cherry was always given the benefit of the doubt from his employers because of the shitload of money that they were giving him. It's grapes. He's going to say something that's going to be deemed too offensive, and it's going to be curtains for Coach's Corner. Not to mention statements like what Don Cherry said completely counter the NHL's whole hockey is for everyone. When a guy is shaming you people for not living up to his Poppy standards. Now, the National Hockey League's public relations, this was their statement regarding John, I can't even say this guy's name, Don Cherry's comment Saturday night. Hockey is at its best when it brings people together. The comments made last night were offensive and contrary to the values we believe in. Maybe those folks he's referring to are not completely aware of the significance of the poppy. Or maybe they're struggling immigrants. I forgot to even mention this too. Oh, by the way, my aunt and my family in Canada all came from the Azores. Why did they come from the Azores? Because they wanted an opportunity to be free. They wanted an opportunity to get better with their lives, to get a better job, to raise a family in a better environment, just like my parents. My parents came from the Azores. Why did they come from the Azores? Because of the fact that they wanted the opportunity to be American citizens, to work in America, just like my family in Canada wanted the opportunity to have a life in that country. Or maybe they're fully aware of the poppy, but think that how they feel on the inside is enough. But to see the absence of a plant on your label indicates you don't appreciate those who joined the armed forces and the sacrifices made, even has Stretch Armstrong rolling his eyes. Not to mention, who knows who's an immigrant and who's a third generation Canadian. Not to mention, who fucking cares? Like many other in his age bracket, he's from a different generation, and so are many of his views. And the people who signed his checks no longer feel that some of those views are compatible with what they're trying to do. Sell the game of hockey to this possible audience. So Don Cherry's groundbreaking segment, it's history. And likely his career in media. I don't see him being a hockey personality at all. I don't see nobody hiring. I don't see NBC Sports hiring Don Cherry. They're going to distance themselves from Don Cherry. He's not a bad person. He's flawed like the rest of us. And I can still appreciate what he did here 40 years ago without agreeing with his takes. As any person that gets fired, I wish him the best in his future endeavors. Hopefully he learns his lesson, not being controversial, because being controversial in sports media industries is likely going to get your ass fired. And that's exactly what happened to him today. In Canada, you guys call it Remembrance Day. We call it Veterans Day here. And before I sign off, of course, I just want to say, thank you to all the veterans out there for really their sacrifices, because without you guys would not give me the opportunity to come on here to rant, rave, and bitch about anything happening in the world of sports, my rants, my outtakes, anything like that. Thank you all so very much. And also, I just want to say, thank you for all so very much for subscribing to the channel. Of course, I got some more content coming up. I am going to be putting up a Monday Night Raw review. Hopefully, I can put it up tomorrow for all you guys out there. I'm kind of thinking about putting some AEW stuff as well. AEW, NXT reviews, because that's what you guys want. You guys have been telling me, oh, put the AEW stuff, the NXT stuff. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. And some content throughout the week. So until then, I am out. Deuces and love.